Daily Race B this week is at Lago Maggiore West in the Group 3 cars. I'm in the Porsche 911 RSR, and this is a lap guide. Heading towards the start line to begin the lap, you want to be over on the right hand side and looking out for our first braking marker, which is the end of this stand on the right hand side. You want to hit the brakes just past there, and then you're changing down the gears and aiming for the curb on turn 1. Now you want to be cutting right across this curb. You'll notice I'm in first gear for this corner. You can do it in second, you just get extra rotation in first, which is handy if you hit the brakes a little bit late. Our next braking point is this grid marker on the floor. Now on this lap, I do brake a little bit late for this one, so I go wide on the next bend, but if you hit the brakes as you get past this marker, you should be fine for the corner. Now this is a really slow corner, and you want to get as tight to the inside as you possibly can. I was slightly wide. Ideally, you want to be over there with your left wheels touching that red and white curbing. Now keep an eye on the throttle as I'm exiting the corner. It's super slippy around here. It's very easy to spin the car out if you're too eager on the throttle. You've got to be super gentle. If you are finding the car spinning a bit too much, you can always change up to second gear a little bit early. Heading around the bend, and our next marker is this lamppost on the left hand side. You want to lift off the throttle as you go past there, and then you're aiming for the curb on the opposite side. You want to turn it a little bit late in order to flatten the corner as much as possible. Again, keep an eye on the throttle as we go round here. It's a bit of a balancing act. You don't want to get on the throttle too early, as it'll send you wide as we go round the bend. Similarly, you want to avoid clipping this orange curb on the inside. If you do hit that, it'll bounce you off across the track, and that is a bad thing. As you can see, we're building back on the power as we go round. You're aiming to be touching this curb on the left hand side, but try not to go over it. That grass is super slippy and it's very easy to spin out on this bit. This section is completely flat out as we go up the hill. Stay in 4th gear around these curves, changing up to 5th around here, and then you want to stay in 5th gear as we go down the hill. The exception being if you're chasing another car, you might need to change up to 6th to avoid bouncing off the top of the rev limiter. Now our next marker is this flag box on the left hand side. You want to be hitting the brakes just after you go past there. You don't want to turn in too early for the next corner, as we want to be cutting right across this curb in. As long as your left tyres are on the red and white bit, you are completely fine. Now I've taken this corner in 2nd gear, but you might want to do it in 1st for a bit of extra rotation to help you avoid going wide as you exit the corner. And the reason you want to avoid going wide is because of all this gravel on the left hand side. Even just touching the gravel will slow the car down a little bit, get too far in, and it'll completely drag you off the track. From there, you're heading over to the right and looking out for the start of this curb. Once you go past there, you want to be turning back in again for the next bend. You're aiming to get your tyres on the white painted section, and when you get up to this point, you're going to start turning back in for the next corner, and you're aiming to clip across the curb over there. You want to keep in 4th gear to aid with the rotation so you don't go too far wide, and then your next braking marker is this pole on the left hand side. As you go past that, you're aiming for the curb on the opposite corner. I'm going to be going in 3rd gear, but you can do it in 2nd if you need a bit of extra rotation. You'll want to balance the throttle through here as you're aiming to straddle this red and white curbing, and then you're aiming for the curb on the opposite side. Again, you want to be right on top of this curb, and when you get to this point, that's when you want to turn in again for the curb opposite. And notice to switch down to 2nd briefly just for the extra rotation. And you've guessed it, you want to be right on top of this curb as well. From this you can see I'm quite far over to the right to give me more space for the next bend. Saying that though, you've still got to be careful of the throttle. If you get on the power too early, you can still send yourself too wide for the next bend. Now when you get to this point, you have got a couple of options. If you're feeling brave, you can try and straddle this orange curb ahead. It is slightly faster, but if you clip the curb, there's a good chance you'll send yourself wide for the next bend. Or you can go for the safer option around the outside. Now you're looking for your next braking marker, which is the start of this sign on the left hand side. You want to brake in a straight line and then turn in just past the end of the curbing. As before, you want to be cutting right across this curb, but be careful of cutting it too much. If you get your right hand tyres on the left of the curb, you will pick up a penalty. It's another throttle balancing act through the final corner. You want to try and cut a little bit of this, but don't hit the orange curb, because if you clip that, you will be saying hello to the marshals, which is what I nearly did on this lap. And that brings us back round to the finish line. Search for Gr.3 if you want to check out the lap in the game. Thanks for watching, I'll catch you in the next one.